do you find ways to learn, take in more information, learn new things? Do you read books? Do you listen to podcasts? Or do you have any like you already mentioned one book. Do you have any great books or anything that you recommend, that you recommend to people?
Yeah. So yes, to all of them. I listen to podcasts, I read books. I look for people who have done what I'm trying to do if they exist. And if not, then I have the privilege of seeing enough people to see patterns and to work things out myself sometimes. Um, so this field is there's a lot of continuing educations, um, workshops, weekends. So I average probably 10, 12 a year of either local things that are occurring in the Atlanta area or traveling. So when there's a particular topic that I'm looking to learn about, I put feelers out. There might be if I read a book, like I just recently read a book on oxalates, and that's something that I've known about for a long time, and yet there's more research coming to light about it. And so I read the book, and then somehow someone sent me a link to a workshop where the author of the book would be one of the presenters in a natural health symposium. Basically, there were going to be multiple presenters there. So I share that story because there were multiple factors involved. One is the patient brought me the book about oxalates because she had found that had helped her. And then a colleague had sent me the link to the workshop. So it's a community effort. And I listen to my patients. They live in their bodies. They know themselves better than I will ever know them. And so when they find something that contributes to them, especially this particular patient she said, Anna, you've helped me so much. And um, I still wasn't where I wanted to be. And this was what took me, to full wellness. And that meant a lot to me. So I learned more. And I would say that's the case about a number of the things that I have learned to help people with. I work a lot with highly sensitive individuals, and these people would be described as when, if they take a supplement, they might have an extreme reaction that most people wouldn't have a reaction to. And I I learned to work with them because my I guess when I first started practicing, I had a few patients like that, and they would tell me these stories. I'm like, well, that just makes no sense. Like, nowhere in the literature does it talk about that being a possibility. And then I ended up kind of going through a phase of like where I was one of them. I was like, oh, okay, they're right. Like a quarter of a dose, and I feel like I'm awful. I have to take the day off work. And it's just one of those things that there's not a lot about. I even had a patient whose medical doctor was trying to get her to take a supplement, but every time she took the supplement, she would she would feel awful. And actually, I think so I'm thinking about her, remembering the details about her case, but she actually would go into anaphylaxis. She for That's what she was being treated for. And the supplement that her doctor wanted to take would help her with that, but she couldn't even tolerate that. So I suggested opening up the capsule, licking her finger, dipping her finger in the capsule, and then licking it again. So just getting a micro dose of it. And she did that. And her doctor thought it was the stupidest thing until it worked. And she was able to gradually work her way up to getting to the full dose and to be able to stop having those anaphylactic reactions. So I shared that. We were talking about sometimes going off on tangents. That was a tangent, but I share it because it's partly out of necessity of who shows up in front of me, of what I learn, and then where the information comes from is from all kinds of resources, whether it's from a colleague. I just happened to see them at a symposium that I went to for something else, or a book that was given to me by a patient, family, relative, coworker, you name it.